Back to you now at 9:25, continuing our talks with Congressman Tom Cole just about everything happening here at home and across the country. And we have some viewer questions for you. So let's fire away here. This first one is from Logan Leone. He says, I'd be curious to know if he thought extremist groups like neo-Nazis, the KKK, et cetera, should have the right to free speech, or since they're hate groups spewing hate and threats, they shouldn't.
They have the right to free speech under the Constitution, and they have the right to assemble and demonstrate. What they don't have the right to do is engage in criminal activity, destruction of property, silencing other people from speaking. So it's not rhetoric that I would agree with in any way. I think those groups ought to be called out and condemned, but I don't think you lose your basic rights to express your opinion just because somebody else disagrees with you.
Did you agree with President Trump when he said there were good people marching in the protests in Charlottesville?
I can't comment about every person, but the people that organized the demonstration were not good people. And a lot of people showed up there to do hateful things. When you see people running around with swastikas, when they show up wearing German helmets, when they come with clubs, that's not people coming to peacefully assemble and demonstrate. So you can't agree with that. And when you see, horrific things said about Jews, as if the Holocaust didn't occur. You have to be purposefully ignorant not to understand the lessons, painful lessons of our own past, both overseas and some difficult things that happened in our own country. You got to face up to them. So these kind of groups, again, I tend to think they hurt themselves when they're out there. I think people see them for who and what they are. If they think they're advancing some sort of message that is going to capture the American people, I think precisely the opposite. But again, those groups went there with a purpose. They were looking for a fight. They were looking for violence. That's a different category than somebody that's expressing opinion, however erroneous that I might disagree with or hateful, but doesn't engage in inappropriate activity. That person's right to free speech is protected.
Let's get to the second question here. This is from Terry Pillars. Terry wants to know, why aren't the members of Congress demanding the senator from Missouri be barred from Congress? We are obligated by law to arrest those who publicly encourage murder and mayhem, regardless of who they are. If you don't know, about this story, this is the Missouri senator who wrote a Facebook post, and, to one of her commenters, she said, Trump should be, I hope Trump is assassinated. Those were her words. Why, what is happening to her?
First of all, she's not a United States senator. She's actually a state senator from the state of Missouri. So it's not something that Congress has anything to say about. The appropriate officials in Missouri should act.
Well, what do you think should happen to her?
The governor actually did call for her to be removed. Now, to her credit, she also fully apologized and asked for the forgiveness of the Trump family and said she'd done the wrong thing. So
is that enough, though, an apology?
Look, I'm not from Missouri, and she's term limited. She'll be out of office next year anyway. So I'll let the people of Missouri sort it out. But again, it's important for your caller to know that wasn't a United States senator from Missouri. That was a state senator, and the governor has called for her to be removed.
Okay, so a difference there. Last question. This is from Curtis Johnson. He says, what does he believe it'll take to get the country past the current political divide that is paralyzing the government?
I think, well, first of all, it's not paralyzing the government. The House passed more legislation, 270 bills, 50 have been signed into law by the president. Senate's been a little bit of a problem there. Their rules are making it a lot tougher to move. But a lot of consequential legislation has been signed in, and frankly, expect a pretty productive fall coming up. But the basic point that your listener's making is right. We are very divided people right now. We've seen it in the last several elections. Look, people have to sit down and start working with one another, recognizing that people can have different opinions and still come to common solutions. We just passed $1 trillion spending bill in May, where the president got a lot of things he asked for. He got a big increase in defense spending, a big increase on border security money. Republicans and Democrats in Congress wanted to spend more money on the National Institute of Health for cancer research and Alzheimer's. They got that. Everybody got something. The government's kept running. At the end of the day, and we stayed within the budget caps, but at the end of the day, a majority of Democrats in the House and the Senate voted for that. A majority of Republicans in the House and Senate voted for that. And the president signed it. That was $1 trillion spending bill to fund the government for a year. So that suggests to me that we haven't lost the ability to work together. But the rhetoric needs to be turned down a little bit. and people need to recognize people can disagree with you vehemently and still be very good people. They love their kids too. They get up and go to work like everybody else. They pay taxes.
Right.
So let's just recognize the basic humanity and decency of one another. The rest of it will work out.
All right. Congressman, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a busy 8 months with this new administration. Been a busy year since you were last here on KOCO 5. And as always, we appreciate your time and perspective.
Thank you.
KOCO 5 News at 9 o'clock continues right after this break.